wanna say to my sisters and my brothers, keep the faith. When the storm flies and the wind blows, go on at a steady pace. When the battle is fought and the victory's won, we can all shout together, we have overcome. We'll talk to the Father and the Son when we make it to the promised land.
My dad and Larry's dad were both amazingly active in their communities. None of our parents ever compared themselves or talked about other people. They never denigrated anybody or never aspired to be anybody else or other than they were. They were doing what they meant to be doing. That's, I think, been important in all our lives and why we're the way we are now.
One really good advantage of community service and so forth is that you get to meet a lot of really nice people in all these organizations that you work with. Lasting friendships come out of that. The working for a common goal is really important.
I'm sort of embarrassed to be, featured, and because I know there are lots more worthy people around town, but not everybody has a partner who everybody knows and sees several times a week.
When I was on the board of the Shepherd Center of the Greenbrier Valley, we went through this selection process, and I was just amazed at some of the people that came up and the things that they've done. And I really appreciate that Ann and I were selected for this Community Service Award.
I'm glad to be able to give my time to you and to the fundraising for the Shepherd Center, and I hope it helps. But I really sort of plead innocent of being worthy of an award.
We walk together, little children. We don't ever have to worry. Through this world of trouble, we gotta love one another. Let us take a fellow man by the hand, try to help him to understand. We can all be together forever and ever, and we make it to the promised land. We can all be together forever and ever when we make it to the promised land.
I was born in Abilene, Texas, when my father was in the Army. He was at Fort Barkley out there in Abilene. I only stayed there for 2 years. When he came back from the war, we settled down in his home farm in Versailles, Kentucky. This was a tobacco and cows and sheep farm, so I got to know tobacco and cows and sheep. But one of the best things about it was like living on a nature preserve. I was out all the time when I was a little kid, when I wasn't working or something, or going to school, just enjoying some of the areas on the farm that were a little wilder, that had creeks to play in, that had crawdads to try to lure out of their little chimney holes along the side of the creek, and fish to chase around and make dams and all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed that. I think it had a lot of effect on me, so it caused me to really appreciate nature. So I would troop about 3/4 of a mile over to the road and wait for the bus to come rolling by. Usually I'd climb up in the tree that was right next to where the bus would stop, and on occasion I would be pretty far up in the tree when the bus showed up, and so I had to really know how to scramble down and get over there and get on the bus. I went to a girls' school for my first 3 years, first, second, and third grade. They had boys in the first, second, and third grade, and My parents thought maybe I'd get a head start. They were a little worried about my reading ability at some point, but anyway, went to the Margaret Hall School. No longer exists. It was a good school. I think it did help, and I had some reading tutor, at least one, when I was young. And I moved from there to a small school in Midway, Kentucky. I spent another 3 years over there before I moved on into junior high school.
I was born in 1946, one of the real war babies, and my daddy had served in World War II, even though he was born in 1910, so he was older when the war came. He had been in the reserves, been in ROTC in college, and then was in the reserves, and was called up. And Mother and Daddy were married in 1933 and had opened a store in Springdale, Arkansas. And Mother ran the store all the time he was gone. And so I was a seed in the eye about pretty soon when after he got home. So I grew up on a street with fields behind our house. The people next door actually had their farm, or a small farm behind the house, and had a barn back there. And there was a lot of chicken feed and chickens in the area. And it was a good area for produce, you know, beans and stuff. And there were canning factories, and there were orchards, apples, peaches. And this is really great part of the country. I was born in November, so I started school when I was 5. You could do that then. And all my friends that were on my street basically were in my class, and I was pretty much of a tomboy, but I can still remember running in the schoolyard and playing tag, and I remember playing marbles, things like that. And I did have a horse when I was growing up. Daddy got me a horse when I was about 12, and she was beautiful, Palomina, and very friendly and very easy to ride, except she was kind of tall and I couldn't get off her when I was out riding. And she was too big for me to saddle. And of course, Daddy owned his own store, and he could usually leave and come saddle her. Maybe we just arranged on a day that he'd come and help me catch her, saddle her. As much as we were alike and rubbed each other the wrong way, the more I think about the things that my dad did for me in those days. I think about it in a different light than I did then.
One of my strong interests when I was a youngster was being involved in Boy Scout activities. I went to lots of camporees and other activities that the Boy Scouts had, and worked my way up through the various levels of scouting. I ended up being an Eagle Scout with some little palms on the thing. I mean, Eagle Plus. While I was at the high school, I picked up trombone for the first time, which was kind of a feat for me to play that because I was pretty small, and so your arm is only so long. So I can remember being in the band room, kind of using my feet to grab the thing to ease the slide on out to 7th position. I did that a little bit. But that was a great opportunity to learn how to read music.
I am very unmusical, and I can't hear one note from another. But anyway, I played the French horn, which made that extra difficult because the person next to you when you're playing French horn is not playing your part. That other part is over there. But, you know, I could kind of get those few notes. Anyway, they were too expensive. The school owned them, and they didn't want them carried out there in marching band. So in marching band, I played the cymbals, which I really loved. And even learned to twirl them.
My parents were fantastic in terms of stimulating me, and my father had a tremendous example. I mean, he got a award from the University of Kentucky for his community service work. Also from the Historical Society there in Woodford County. He wrote histories about that. He made books with illustrated by stamps, a whole closet full of those. I worked for the Boy Scouts, worked for the 4-H Extension Service, and a lot of other things. Amazing guy. So his ability to stimulate me in terms of my curiosity and so forth. He had a lot to do with that, but so did my mother. Boy, she was a curious sort. Well, might have been. And she'd like to have a lot of fun. And we told jokes at the house and played lots of games. She was a Scrabble whiz. She was from Oklahoma and Texas area down there. That's where my father met her while he was in the service. He was a graduate of Center College, where I went to school. I was there. That's what I met that Ann Davis. You know her.
Daddy said, well, if you want to go to a big university, there's a perfectly good one 6 miles from home. And but what he wanted was for me to go to a small Presbyterian affiliated college, which is where we went to church. And so we drove around. We looked at Worcester College in Ohio, which turned out to be way up north for me. And we looked at Hanover College in Indiana. But then we went to Center College in Danville, Kentucky. And it was so dreamy and beautiful there in the bluegrass.
I was very lucky that I was there for that last year, which ended in 1965, because at 9 months before I graduated, Ann Licklider showed up on campus from Arkansas. It didn't take long for me to notice her.
So it was the first day I was a freshman, and we were going through the line in the dining hall, and he and one of his friends were working back where they put the trays in, and checking out the freshman girls as they went by in line. And then I was walking across campus later, and Larry rode up behind me on his bicycle, and he said, oh, I said to myself, I've seen that before, from behind. And he stopped and asked me for a date.
And we immediately went to some parties together and some other events on campus, and started a relationship that's lasted a pretty long time.
Love changes everything, hands and faces, earth and sky. Love can make the summer fly, or a night seem like a lifetime. Yes, love changes everything. Now I tremble at your name. Nothing in the world will ever be the same.
I had the wedding in September, because her father was in the department store business, and having a wedding around Christmas just would not work. She was finishing up her undergraduate work there in the middle of the semester, between semesters, around Christmas and everything. So we had to get that wedding taken care of in September, and then separate until I had the nest prepared over there in Chapel Hill.
And our only honeymoon was stopping at Kentucky Dam Village on the way to take me back to school. And I can remember there were 2 double beds in this room, and we just bounced on the beds like kids. So at Christmas, we gathered up my stuff, our wedding presents and whatever we had, and put it in a truck and moved to Chapel Hill. And I think we bought a mattress. And as soon as the roads were okay, kind of gotten a little bit more like spring, Mother and Daddy brought over a load of stuff from home so we could have enough to keep us going.
I was working on a PhD in biochemistry. It was over in the medical school part of the campus. And oh gosh, did I love Chapel Hill. I think that might have dampened my interest in finishing my PhD when I was there. I knew I'd have to leave Chapel Hill once I'd finished that.
I was there from spring of '68 till he finished in the spring of '70. And then he got a postdoctoral fellowship in Corvallis, Oregon. And we loaded up the stuff again. And
like the doodah man together, more or less in line, just keep trucking on.
And talk about fantastic places to live. That was it. We could go over to the coast, we could go up in the mountains when I wasn't doing research, or we could ice skate on the top of the building on the off chance, whenever it got cold enough to freeze on the top of the building in the Willamette Valley.
our dog Bobby loved to swim. Could throw a stick out and he'd swim back with the surf right around his ears and everything, and he loved to swim in the Willamette River. And
I really had an acceleration in my interest in bird life. All along the west side of Oregon, there are a lot of good birds that are out there right along the coast. That was good. And then there were birds in the mountains too. And the Audubon Society in Corvallis was very active. I remember going out to the Finley Wildlife Refuge. It was raining. Sure, it was raining. It's always raining unless it's the middle of summer up there. Trying to keep our binoculars dry. And we eased up this embankment. Up on the other side of the embankment was a large area of water, and there were a whole lot of birds up there. Ducks, geese, and all that. But when we topped the edge of that embankment, all of those birds took off at the same time. I just got a chill thinking about that.
Oh, a good friend of ours, whose husband worked in the same lab that Larry did, was a member of the League of Women Voters. And so she took me, and of course it was kind of the issues I was interested in. And the League of Women Voters strives to not take sides, only to not take political sides, but to present issues. It doesn't align with any particular party. And so we did some studies out there. One of the main studies we did while I was there was called Power to the People, and it was about hydroelectric power and other power in Oregon. And it was really fascinating. So that was between 70 and 74. So yeah, I think that was really forward looking. And I met a lot of people I liked, and worked with I've always enjoyed working with women who are older than I was. And the folk club owned the most amazing fundraising thing. They called it the Folk Club Thrift Shop. Raised a tremendous amount for those days. I thought like $84,000 a year to give back to the community. So that was one of my first big experiences of doing community work. And it was really a lot of fun. We just had a great time being there with the hiking trails and the scenery, and the mountains, and the seafood, and good friends, and all of that.
Here's how I ended up in Lewisburg, West Virginia. I finished a year teaching biochemistry and chemistry and some cell physiology at Berea College in Kentucky. While that guy was on sabbatical, I thought I'd try that out. Oh, great students there from Appalachia, see? So when I finished up at Berea, we were taking this trip with Ann's mother and father over to the East Coast. Well, the car was giving us a hard time on Route 60 between Charleston and here. Couldn't figure out what it was, so we pulled off in Lewisburg. They discovered that there was a blockage there from the gas tank into the line that the fuel takes over to the engine. That's what it was. We stayed at the Fort Savannah. Woke up the next morning and looked around and said, oh, this is a beautiful place. It'd be nice to live here.
What he really, really wanted to do was teach. So he got another job, postdoc at Oklahoma State, which was nice because that was 3 hours from my folks.
The wildest stories I have had to do with Oklahoma State University there in Stillwater. For instance, some of it had to do with cows. I was studying the aggregation of platelets, bovine platelets. So I would ride my motorcycle out to the agricultural part of the, just off campus. And someone would draw some blood from one of the cows, and I would throw it in my backpack and ride my motorcycle back to town. Occasionally I'd see a tarantula trooping across the road, and once I picked one of those up in a jacket and took it into a guy in the same building that I was in. He was working on spider venom, including brown recluse. So you never can tell when you're going to find something to do research with.
We liked being there too. It was really, I think, when Larry got really, really interested in bird watching, because that's on such a flyway there in the central Oklahoma.
2 years after that, I found out that there was an opening at the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine. I didn't know that was in this town. They needed a biochemist. So, boy, I just got on an airplane, flew right on over here, checked the place out, and found out I wanted to come here.
I want to say to my sisters and my brothers, keep the faith. When the storm flies and the wind blows, go on at a steady pace. When the battle is fought and the victory's won, we can all shout together, we have overcome. We'll talk to the Father and the Son when we make it to the promised land.
One of the things that had an effect on that, I'm pretty sure, was I met Roland P. Sharp. You get to meet the president and everybody else practically on campus when you're here to interview. And I really wanted to come work in the place where he was, because I could tell he was really dedicated to helping the people of West Virginia. This school was not just about getting doctors out there. It was to get people out there, doctors that could help the people who live in West Virginia and other parts of Appalachia.
Let us take a fellow man by the hand, try to help him to understand. We can all be together forever and ever when we make it to the promised land.
In terms of research, I think probably the most significant thing that I put together with Alan Roberts, who was working at the school too, is that we decided to just find out how well the School of Osteopathic Medicine was doing in terms of placing primary care physicians in rural Appalachia. And I worked through the directories for the American Osteopathic Association, also the directory of MDs, and by golly, found out that even by the late 80s, it was already showing up that a lot of the students were doing just that, primary care physicians in rural Appalachia. This was very satisfying because I knew that was what our mission was, and that also didn't hurt in terms of keeping the legislature of West Virginia satisfied that their money was well spent in Lewisburg. One particularly attractive thing about the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine, aside from the fact that it's in a beautiful location, I love living here, was that it was kind of a family. I mean, you know about that. You know that Gwen Klingman, she was very close to the students of osteopathic medicine, served a lot of them at down at Klingman's, right in the middle of town. But up at the school, things were going on there between the faculty and students, making it more of a family. We started a soup kitchen at the school, and all during the exam weeks, there would be food available for all the students in a little room down there on the first floor of the main building. We had a lot of organizations to thank for that, such as the Methodist Church. They would get things together, and that was really something special for a medical school. You don't expect to find that.
This is a lovely place to have a baby and have children.
Our daughter, Mary Caroline Davis, was born down there at Greenbrier Valley Medical Center at about 1 o'clock in the middle of the night. Fortunately, it was over with fairly quickly, but since it was over by 1 o'clock, I was able to get a little sleep after Ann had delivered and make it to the first day of class for the WVSOM students that day. And I got to proudly announce that just a few hours before that class that I became a father, and wrote her name in big letters up on the board, and everybody cheered.
So we enjoyed all the growing up here, and when she got in school, I helped along with school things, and even when she was little, I did drove for Meals on Wheels and took her with me. And we went to Old Stone Church, and I always did circles and women's thing, whatever I could do. Worked in the Americana, and we just kind of bubbled along all those years, and enjoying what we were doing and keeping busy. And Larry was working with the Scouts at first, but I kind of wished he'd be home. So
Phil Gaynor, who'd been the Scoutmaster for Troop 70 in Lewisburg, he was elected mayor, and so he decided that I was not going to be the assistant scoutmaster anymore. I was going to be the scoutmaster of Lewisburg's Troop 70. So when my daughter was pretty young, I did spend a lot of time out with the boys at various camporees and other activities for the Boy Scouts. So if I hadn't done that, I might have gotten to know her a little bit better. But I can tell you this for sure, she's a mighty fine girl.
She went to Lewisburg Elementary, and she was interested in the GVT from the time. Larry was first in Annie.
Did 2 plays in the late 70s when I first got here. That was South Pacific and Guys and Dolls. Then I had about a 10-year hiatus on doing anything with them, until that fateful day when I took my daughter out there to audition for Annie at the theater. And as it turned out, she did get to be an orphan, and I got to be Franklin Delano Roosevelt and a guy named Headley that was running a variety show or something in Annie.
She's always loved the production process and being with the other people in the theater. We've always enjoyed having kids that worked as interns at the GVT stay here, and I think I got that from when I was in junior high. Probably we had a missionary come from Brazil, and Daddy was just thrilled to have him stay at the house, and that probably happened more than that one time. And I think that was really another lesson in how to use what you have and share that. We had an exchange student, and he was terrific.
Come, in this case, from Denmark. I think he was about 16 years old, and his name is Jonas Homigo. He stayed with us for a year. One of the reasons we decided to go ahead and do that was we had this daughter. See, she didn't have any brothers or sisters or anything, so we thought it'd be a new experience for her to live in the house with a 16-year-old boy. And it was great. He tried to teach me some Danish. I think the only word that I picked up from him had to do with a whatchamacallit, or a thingamajig. I asked him what's equivalent, and, or a doodad or something like that. And he said it was a dibby-do-it. So if you're ever in Denmark and you see one and said, look at that, dibby-do-it, it's just one of those things, don't know what it is.
It's really great to have somebody who's enthusiastic about everything and thrilled with everything and always ready to do something new and happy with everything, basically, that he's doing and that he sees done and the next adventure coming up. And it really is quite a gift for him and lots of us. And I know it has been wonderful for Mary. People need different parents.
Hello, I'm your mighty but friendly protease, and here I am in the endoplasmic reticulum of somebody's beta cells in their pancreas. Away you go!
Now, I've been fortunate to judge some science fairs around here since I've been involved with science for a long time. I have gone to science fairs all around this area. I've gone to Montgomery, West Virginia, where they had regional science fairs for high schools and so forth. I've done that. It could well be that what I've been involved in around Greenbrier County and the rest of West Virginia for the longest period of time is public broadcasting in West Virginia. The outfit had a booth out at the state fair way back, I mean about 1978, right after I got here. We had a great time there. But I just got to diverge because one time when I was out there working at the booth, along comes Stan Sweet. And I say, Stan, what you up to? And he said he was going to go down and judge a hog calling contest. So I got somebody to take my place at the public broadcasting. It was public television at the time, exclusively. To take my place there, and I headed for the barn where they were doing the hog calling contest. On the way over, I was trying to figure out how I was going to call hogs, and I decided I'd try to do it musically. So I picked the theme from the William Tell Overture. So when I got there, I made sure the Stan did not see me. And so I went out, and it went sweet pig, sweet pig, sweet pig, 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 sweet pig, and so forth. And I tried to do it with the flair of operatic tenor. And I only won third place because the other two contestants that did better than I did, the hog actually went in their general direction. And so they headed over me for sure. One thing that's really been fun about these on-air fundraising activities with public television, the blabathons that is I've been involved with a lot of different groups that were there to answer the phone. Sometimes I took Boy Scouts over, or maybe somebody from WVSOM or Carnegie Hall. They answer phones, I would blab. We'd have a great time. But two of the other things that were a little out of the ordinary was a kennel club once came in to answer phones, and they brought their dogs with them. So I was on air with a bunch of dogs, and that was generally a lot of fun. And then another time, Larry Two Rivers Brown was there with the Appalachian American Indians of West Virginia. And that was great because I'm really interested in Indian lore, and I like to go to their powwows down there at the state fairgrounds.
Who's that whispering in the trees? It's two cities and they're on leave. Claps and chains and swinging hands. Who's your daddy? Yes, I am.
When I was a kid, like basically in junior high and high school, I took dance. I never could do ballet, but I took tap and jazz. So I've always been interested in dancing. Of course, Larry is too, but you know, about anything on stage he's interested in. Well, Mary was a little bitty, and a friend called me, Ellen Brody, and asked if I'd be on the Trillium board, and I said yes. We had some really good times. I was there when we first realized we need a permanent office help. One thing we always needed was storage. One thing we always needed is to raise money. And the ideas came along from the dancers who really weren't anxious to sit for board meetings. And so we had liaison back and forth, and the board grew more and more organized, and then we got to be a 501c3, and they started the Trillium Performing Youth, which was really a great experience to go, and they performed at nursing homes and around at schools, and they would go to Charleston and compete in the dance festivals, and they'd bring in extra teachers to do special things, like friends of theirs who danced around in the area. But Trillium really needed its own space. And so Larry Levine and I and Lynn Preston went together and bought that building to make it a home for Trillium.
Hey, hoo-ha! I think some of the people that I've particularly enjoyed being with are the actors, directors, stage managers, and so forth at the Greenbrier Valley Theater. It's sort of a fraternity for a sorority or something of people that are working for a common cause in terms of providing things for this area in the country, both with economic benefits, of course, but also an opportunity to see things live. Something about that. I'm telling you, a live audience, there's something about that. The Shepherd Center of the Greenbrier Valley has been running a really nice program. That's the Adventures in Learning. And I've taught these play reading classes, which are really fun for me and also for the people involved. Really pleased with some of the performances that people have given when we read plays together with varying amounts of dramatization. It's really been fun.
Well, I started going to the Shepherd Center as soon as I could because I was 55, when I was 55. But always, after Mother and Daddy had passed away and had had so much attention from their congregation, I was really glad to be able to drive people to places they needed to go. And I appreciated so much the fact that people had always been there for my folks when I was far away from home.
Ann and I ring bells together, so that's some, by golly, we perform together, or rather we do praise together in that circumstance. And I hope we have a picture here somewhere of the two of us ringing bells together.
I want to say to my sisters and my brothers, keep the faith. When the storm flies and the wind blows, go on at a steady pace. When the battle is fought and the victory's won, we can all shout together, we have overcome. We'll talk to the Father and the Son when we make it to the promised land.
When Ann Licklider and Larry Davis Met each other at Center College way back in 1964. Now, it's obvious that there must have been some attraction going on there that pulled us together and kept us together. But after all these years and some contemplation, I realized that we had a lot of common interests that I didn't realize at the time, but thinking back, now I do. We like history, so that if we go traveling someplace or watching things on public television, we really enjoy them together, and we can like to discuss what's going on with those. That's really great. We like the arts. We go to all the performances practically around Lewisburg.
It's been a wonderful place to live. We really do feel blessed with the friends we have here, the scenery we get, and the fact that it's a small town and in a beautiful area, and there's lots going on with the arts and the kind of community that we grew up in, both of us, even though they were different. So, really what we needed. We really are blessed. And we're very thankful. We know it.
Walk together, little children. We don't ever have to worry. Through this world of trouble, we gotta love one another. Let us take a fellow man by the hand, try to help him to understand. We can all be together forever and ever if we make it to the promised land. We can all be together forever and ever when we make it to the promised land.
Well, I tried to sail the sea of life, I rowed my boat along. Your love meant nothing to me, dear, my heart was made of stone. Till the harbor filled with loneliness, my little boat was moored. And on the day I first met you, I fell right overboard.